me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god. Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top.
Welcome back to Juggernaut Retro Reviews, everybody. And today we are talking about TNA Slammiversary 2009. So this is probably going to be the last installment of TNA Slammiversaries I review for this year. But you know, since it's still July, I might as well review another one. And I was already watching it, so it's fresh in my mind, so I might as well review it. So, we go all the way back to June 21st, 2009, and the show was held in Auburn Hills, Michigan at the Palace of Auburn Hills. And the total attendance for the show was 4,000. You know, at this time, this was a pretty big, attendance for TNA. It looked like it was a pretty decent-sized arena. You know, now they had 7,000 at the 2025 Slammiversary. So, TNA, they're growing again. They're still alive. They're still kicking. TNA keeps on surviving. But yeah, this Slammiversary was. 2009 was an interesting year for pay-per-views, but this one was actually very good. This was a decent pay-per-view for TNA this year. So we start off the pay-per-view with a King of the Mountain match for the X Division Championship. So there was actually 2 King of the Mountain matches on the show. One was for the X Division title, and then the main event was for the TNA World Championship. So this one here was for the X Division Championship. So we had Suicide defending the title against Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, Consequences Creed, which is Xavier Woods, and Jay Lethal. Yeah, you had a lot. You had the Motor City Machine Guns in here. You had Lethal Consequence. That was Jay Lethal and Consequences Creed tag team. This was out of the two King of the Mountain matches. This was definitely the best King of the Mountain match of the night, in my opinion. Because I feel like the King of the Mountain match really fit these characters here, and their how athletic they are, the high spots that they do. It was really good. This match was more high spot centric, which it was fun. The fans weren't really behind Suicide all like that. Suicide ended up winning the match. I'm trying to think of everything that happened in the match here. Yeah, Suicide ended up winning. A thing that I remember from the match was, just a lot of double team moves on Suicide. Lethal Consequence and the Motor City Machine Guns, they were just trying to take down Suicide a lot. And until later on when Lethal Consequence and Motor City Machine Guns, they tried taking out each other. I'll say definitely the MVP of this match was definitely Chris Sabin. He was doing some amazing work in this match. I really like what he was doing. It was like I said, definitely spot centric in this match. Suicide ended up hanging the title belt. There was a really cool spot off the penalty box. It was that Suicide did. It was it was really cool. Even Chris Sabin, he did a pretty nice spot off the penalty box. This was definitely fun stuff in the match. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, Suicide ended up winning, and we will go to the next match, which we had Christopher Daniels going up against Shane Douglas. And if Shane Douglas won, he would have taken Christopher Daniels' spot as part of the TNA roster. Yeah, so this whole storyline here, as what I kind of remember, so Shane Douglas, he was kind of jealous of what Christopher Daniels was getting, and he wanted to take a spot. He wanted to be part of the TNA roster. And Shane Douglas, he's an ECW legend. He had great mic work, and so Christopher Daniels, he has great mic work as well. Going, hey, these two guys with a promo battle, they can do really good. But as it went in the ring here, yeah, this match was not it all like that. Shane Douglas, he was kind of past his prime. Christopher Daniels, he was doing good in the match, but yeah, this match was not it right here. This is probably one of the more weaker things on this show, but Christopher Daniels ended up winning the match. Shane Douglas didn't win. I mean, the story made sense, but like the in-ring just wasn't clicking here. Like I said, Shane Douglas was past his prime. Yeah, not the greatest here. All right, and then the next match we had was the TNA Women's. We had the TNA Women's Knockout Championship on the line. We had Angelina Love defending the title against Tara, which is formerly known as Victoria in WWE. Yeah, this was a really short match here. I mean, the knockouts, they were more of an alternative to like what the Divas were doing in WWE. But yeah, like their TV matches were doing amazing, but like this right here, this was definitely like a step down from what they were doing on their TV matches during this time. And also, they were trying to be like more edgy than what WWE was doing because they were more PG, like with the beautiful people, with doing their entrances and being a little more like a club type of environment, having that more sex appeal and like being more over the edge type of stuff. Yeah, the knockouts were definitely doing that here. This match had definitely more to be desired. I mean, they both tried their hardest in this match, but I don't know. There was just something missing from the match, and the match was really short. Like, the knockouts nowadays, like in 2025, they're so much better. They can go better in the ring. Well, all of women's wrestling can. But yeah, this match, I mean, Angelina Love, she ended up retaining the title, but yeah, this was definitely forgettable. Something you could skip on this show. All right. And then the next match we had was a Monsters Ball intergender tag team match. We had Abyss and Taylor Wilde going up against Daffney and Raven. And also in the corner of Daffney and Raven, we had Dr. Stevie Richards. So, doctors, we had Stevie Richards and Raven, kind of continuing, their friendship, what they were doing in ECW. Definitely the MVPs in this match were... Well, what saved this match was Taylor Wilde and Daffney. These two girls, they were taking some pretty big spots in this match. I mean, Taylor Wilde, she did this nice splash into a table onto Daffney out in off some speakers. I thought that was a pretty cool spot in the match. Daffney even took a thumbtack spot. Taylor Wilde threw Daffney through a whole bunch of thumbtacks. You have a lot of interference from Stevie Richards here. Abyss, he got busted open when he took a steel chair shot to the head from Raven. Yeah, I mean, that, like I said, the MVPs in this match were definitely Daffney and Taylor Wilde. And Taylor Wilde, she's so underrated. Like, I liked watching her matches back in the day in TNA. They were really good. Abyss ended up black hole slamming Raven through some thumbtacks, and that's how Abyss and Taylor Wilde ended up winning. Yeah, I mean, yeah, this was probably one of the better like undercard things that happened on the night between like the two Kingdom Out matches. This is one of the better things that happened throughout the night. But yeah, Abyss and Taylor Wilde winning was a good match. Better than what I expected it to be. So, yeah, good stuff here. All right. And then the next match we had was Sting going up against Matt Morgan. And if Matt Morgan would have won, he would have been able to join the main event Mafia. And Matt Morgan, he's this, they build him up as this, genetic freak, who was an all-star like in basketball, football, and all these, other sports, like how tall he was. But yeah, Sting and Matt Morgan here. Yeah, there was just some chemistry missing here between them. And now Matt Morgan and Kurt Angle, Kurt Angle could carry Matt Morgan to a great match. But Sting and Matt Morgan, I don't know, there was just something missing. And also there was one spot in the match where Sting kind of screwed up, or Matt Morgan they screwed up this Scorpion Death Drop, and the fans kind of really booed that a lot. They weren't behind that, but they ended up getting back on track. The fans kind of they quit booing so much, so that was a good thing. Sting was selling a lot for Matt Morgan in the match, but in the end, Sting he hit this Scorpion Death Drop from the middle rope. So he ended up winning the match. So Matt Morgan was not able to join the main event Mafia on this show here. So, yeah. Next match we had was the TNA World Tag Team titles on the line. We had Beer Money Incorporated, James Storm, and Robert Roode going up against Team 3D of Brother Devon and Brother Ray. So we had Team 3D, they were the champions going into this. And they were also the New Japan Tag Team Champions as well. Or IWGP. Yeah, they were New Japan Tag Team Champions as well. Beer Money, I think they won this tournament to get this match here against Team 3D. This is kind of going back to my point with Shane Douglas. But this kind of go back to my point with Shane Douglas. Team 3D, this seemed like a little off right here. Especially, Devon, he was seemed like he was, gassed a little bit. He seems like he wasn't, on the right speed as everybody else in this match. James Storm and Robert Roode, they were just clicking. That they were doing some amazing tag team stuff in this match. So that was really good. We had some interference in this match with the British Invasion Magnus, which is Nick Aldis, if you don't know who Magnus is, and Doug Williams came out. They came out on commentary. This kind of took away from the match a little bit. Also, this match got a lot of time. This match got 16 minutes or so in the match. So this got quite a bit of time here. But you saw Brother Ray, he hit a nice crossbody onto the British Invasion in the match. But ultimately, in the end, Beer Money will end up winning this match when they hit the DWI, drinking while investing. I believe that's what their finisher was called. But yeah, overall, this was a pretty good match. But yeah, they had a long time to go in this match. Okay, and then in the main event, we had the King of the Mountain match for the TNA World title on the line. So we had Mick Foley. He was a TNA World Champion at this point, defending the title against Kurt Angle, AJ Styles, Jeff Jarrett, and Samoa Joe. So, like I said, with the King of the Mountain earlier, that was more spot heavy. This was definitely, you had a lot more storytelling in this match. So, Mick Foley, he kind of was in the middle. He didn't stand with the main event Mafia, or he was just a middle ground person. Jeff Jarrett, he was in here. He wanted to, he was the founder of TNA. He made the King of the Mountain match. He wanted to get the TNA title back, and he was going to do whatever he wanted to do with it. Samoa Joe and AJ Styles here, they were TNA originals. When TNA started in 2002, so they've been there from the beginning. Kurt Angle, part of main event Mafia and all that. This was definitely some interesting stuff here. Yeah, Kurt Angle coming out in a Penguins jersey, because the Penguins and the Red Wings, they always been rivals. So yeah, people were really booing Kurt Angle. But it was crazy how the match started. A fan gave Samoa Joe a Red Wings jersey, and Samoa Joe attacked Kurt Angle, and that ended up having Kurt Angle ended up getting the pinfall victory. But even though it wasn't a pin, he ended up becoming eligible to hang the title. So Samoa Joe had to go spend 2 minutes in the penalty box. So that was kind of a wonky way to start the match. That was very weird. The second person to get to become eligible was Jeff Jarrett. Mick Foley kind of laid down for he laid down for Mick Foley laid down for Jeff Jarrett. So then Mick Foley, he was trying to play really smart. So yeah, he went in the penalty box for a couple minutes. Samoa Joe was the next one to become eligible. He made Mick Foley go to sleep with the Coquilla clutch. And then Mick Foley, he did this crazy spot off the penalty box. He did this nice elbow drop. He was like just laying on top of sitting on top of the penalty box and hit this elbow drop onto Kurt Angle. So then Kurt Angle had to go into the penalty box. And then AJ Styles, he was the last person to become eligible. The fans were really behind AJ Styles this match here. Like, they wanted AJ Styles, like, definitely the fan favorite. He was hitting the biggest spots in this match. Yeah, this a lot of fun with what AJ Styles was doing. But yeah, it was kind of shocking, like, because this was actually my first time watching this show. Like, I was expecting that churn to happen with Samoa Joe. Like, it's crazy, you know. Like with the King of the Mountain match, you have to hang the title belt. You know, you don't have to grab it. So Samoa Joe, he looks like he was going to take hang the title belt, and then Kurt Angle was climbing on the other side, and Samoa Joe just hands Kurt Angle the belt, and kind of like, you know, gives that nod to him and go like, hey, you know, he's a part of the main event mafia now. So Samoa Joe lets Kurt Angle win the match. Kind of have like Samoa Joe turning heel, because like since like 2006 when Kurt Angle came in, they just been like feuding for like, you know, the last 3 years. So that, you know, you want something different, change it up a little bit. And people were saying, oh, you know, this seems like a Vince Russo booking. Yeah, kind of in a way it does. You know, with that, some people go like, oh, that churn doesn't make any sense. Yeah, in a way, it doesn't make any sense. But yeah, Kurt Angle ended up winning the match and becoming new TNA World Heavyweight Champion here. Overall, you know, I thought this TNA Slammiversary was pretty decent. You know, you had two good King of the Mountain matches. You had that Monster Ball match. That was pretty good. That intergender match. So overall, I mean, this was a pretty solid TNA. Definitely go down in the comments if you ever seen this TNA. Let me know what you thought of the show, and also go hit that subscribe button if this is your first time ever checking out my channel, and also go follow me on Instagram and Twitter at TheTrueJSB, and also you guys can go follow me on TikTok as well, the Juggernaut Show on TikTok. So yeah, definitely go subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. So peace out.